All right, so hey everyone, good afternoon or evening. My name is Huankun, and I will be speaking on behalf of LaborMatics. I will be talking about their labor market impact dashboard. Just to give some background about the company, LaborMatics is a nonprofit research company that collects and analyzes data about the labor market. Recently, they analyzed the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, and I'll be showing you guys that during the presentation. So, the labor market impact dashboard is one of their products. Its purpose is to present up-to-date data in a single web page so users can view data without needing to visit multiple government websites. Most of you would know government websites are pretty hard to navigate. So to have a dashboard that shows the economic data as well as unemployment data and presented with analysis already done on it improves accessibility. So here are some of the sources that they pulled from. One of them are the Department of Labor. They gathered consumer spendings and savings data from there. Another would be the Department of Commerce, and they gathered UI filings from there. So I'm just going to jump right into it and show you guys a demo on the web. Uh, let me let me just switch the application. Uh, All right, so this is the dashboard that I was talking about. Um, we have a bunch of graphs here. This one you could see it's a graph of civilian labor force plotted against unemployment rate. Um, so you could tell from here where exactly COVID hit and where the unemployment shot up. If we scroll down a little bit more, you could see uh, more data being presented, this time as a map. So this one shows also unemployment, but if you hover over it, it shows you specifically for each state. This one shows insurance claims. Obviously, with an increase of unemployment, there's going to be a sharp increase of insurance claims. And this one's my favorite one. It's a graph of all the stock data from each economic sector. So you could choose whichever one you want to bring up, or you could just choose the most impacted ones. There are basic functionality like scroll and zoom. So that could be pretty useful if you want to zoom in on a certain piece of data. And you also have other functionality like taking a screenshot or auto scale to go back to the original. And yeah, we have many more graphs and more to come as we get more data. So as you can see, COVID-19 has a pretty big impact on our economy, and we're hopeful this dashboard can aid lawmakers to make better decisions or even data scientists in accessing data. I'm going to switch back over to uh, the slides. Um, So now I want to talk a little bit. Actually, I wanted to talk a little bit about the implementation of it. So we used a Python library called Dash, which generate HTML and CSS and JavaScript for the website. It was built on top of the React framework, which handles user interfaces pretty well. So that's why you could see like all those pretty graphs. Um, Currently, the website's hosted on Heroku, but there are plans to switch to in-house servers. For data collection, let me just restart the slideshow again. For data collection, these were all the sectors that we took from, and this is the date that the data, the date range of the data. And just for your information, these are the specific symbols that we took from each sector. So just the different companies. On the data analysis side, we use mostly Python and the pandas package. It was also used for converting, formatting, and cleaning data. As mentioned, they pulled company stock and revenue data, and analysis was performed to evaluate decline, recovery rates, and just overall trends. Now I'm going to go into just some of the graphs that were produced. Uh, this one's the one for basic material sectors, and it was an average of all the companies. Just more graphs, but with different sectors. We could see that there's once COVID hit, there's always a dip, and then like some of the sectors rebounded back. And this graph is showing revenue data. So as you can see, at the very end, there's another sharp dip, and we suspect it was caused also by COVID. And more graphs. This one's a small snippet of a subset of data gathered from the Federal Reserve. It breaks down the type of debt owed, and we can see the decline at the end. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's decline for both lines. This one's a breakdown of the same debt data, but separated by age. So right here, we could see that if you're above the age of 40, you experience an overall drop in debt, while if you were younger than 40, you get an increase in debt. This is data that we plan to put on the dashboard soon. It's payment protection program data, and it was gathered by state. So there were a few challenges in collecting data. Data selection was a key part of this project. They had a few criteria when deciding which data to use. One of them was relevance. So they wanted data that wasn't too old. They wanted data that was updated frequently so that um, the graphs were always up to date, and also managed data. So the data needed to be formatted and had fewer missing entries. Some of the challenges they faced were deciding cost and practicality. So, for example, one measure considered was company hits. They thought maybe some of the sites with online shopping had more web traffic, and the software used to gather this data ended up being too expensive, and it wasn't a guarantee that it would produce good results anyway, so it was scrapped. Another measure they decided to use was the number of companies switching to remote. For that, they considered web scraping job sites, but that ended up being too time consuming to implement.
About 5 minutes remaining.
Okay. Converting and formatting data was also a challenge as well. Some data was stored in PDFs, and that was pretty hard to extract. And in the future, they plan on using polynomial functions to model stock data and revenue analysis, just so they could have a better comparison of what could have happened if COVID never happened and compare it to what did happen. And they also plan to regroup companies by industries and not sectors. So there's a different perspective on the data. Some future plans on the technical side, as we mentioned before, they wanted in-house servers that would be easier to manage and more scripts to pull in data as they become available. So that's all I have. If you have any questions or feedback, you could send an email to info@labormatics.com. Thank you very much.